Relationship compatibility. This video is for you if you are dating, have a crush, have a fantasy about someone. You could be in a committed relationship and wanting to take it to the next step. You could also just be fully interested in how male and female relationships, male and male, whichever you subscribe to, how do they work when they come into contact with each other. So in ancient astrology, astrologers were used to help people form relationships in royalty. In the Indian culture, arranged marriages, they looked at one individual natal chart and the others, and they placed them on top of each other, and they looked at the aspects that were touched. So today we're going to look at what indicates a romantic relationship, a committed relationship, and that sexual fire that you love. I have chosen 5 or 6 aspects that I'm going to tell you about that will help you decipher and decide on your future romantic compatibility. So number 1, grab a pen and paper if you haven't already and write these down. Number 1 is Venus conjunct Venus. This means that you and the partner in question have the same Venus placement, which means that you would have it in the same element and the same star sign. For example, my Venus is in Scorpio. If I found a partner that had a Venus in Scorpio, this would be an excellent match because initially you both go into the world finding love in the same way. If you had Venus in Gemini and Venus in Gemini, you also go into the world and find love in the same way, but in a completely different way to what a Scorpio Venus. Scorpio Venus is obsessive. They look for commitment in relationships straight away. They want a deep emotional connection. Venus in Gemini, they want a flighty, flirty, mentally stimulating connection. So the first aspect that would be highly compatible is Venus conjunct Venus. Secondary to those Venus conjunctions would be a Venus trine Venus and a Venus sextile. These are also good, not as strong as the conjunct. The trine is second. Trine is wonderful. So trine would be that it's in the same element. So it would be water, water, Cancer, Scorpio, Cancer, Pisces. Or it would be earth, earth, Taurus, Venus, Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn. So that's the first one. The second one what I want to talk to you about was Venus and Saturn. So if Venus and Saturn are in a conjunction or a trine or a sextile, this is good for commitment. Saturn is the planet of stability, it's the planet of discipline, it's the planet of restriction, it's a rooting planet, so it makes you commit to this. So if your Venus is touching someone's Saturn, this would be a great foundation for a long-term committed relationship. You want a trine, you want a conjunction, sextile is good too, but we always want to see that Venus-Saturn compatibility because Saturn's going to bring longevity to the relationship. The third aspect that I like to see, which gives a really hot sexual compatibility, is your Lilith conjunct their Mars. So Mars is the planet of sex, aggression, career. It's how we drive forward with things. Lilith is your secret inner devil. It's like the side of you that you sort of push away and you ignore, but when you meet someone, Lilith is the first wife of Adam. She is the rebel who did not want to conform to the traditional married life. And so when your Mars sex comes in contact with Lilith in a conjunction, there is an instant spark of electricity. There is an intrigue to investigate this aspect. You will be driven. If you think about it, Mars is the planet of aggression. It is how we push forward with our goals. So when someone's Lilith is contacting their Mars, they have an innate drive to investigate this relationship and find out what that rebellious, friction is. It's like I know that Lilith placement will satisfy my sexual needs. So this is not necessarily a stability factor. It is more about that sexual drive that we all have to investigate and further advance to that pleasure. And this is a spark that generally stays fresh, so it's good to have in a relationship, as obviously if you're in a committed relationship, things go in ebbs and flows, and having this placement will enable you to have that fresh sexual connection. The next transit I'd like to talk about is a very harmonious one. It allows your personalities to blend well in a harmonious connection. So it is sun-moon connection, and it'd be ideal to have a conjunction or a trine. A sextile is good too. So when someone's sun, for example, is in an earth sign of Taurus, and if their partner's moon is in Taurus, this means that the sun person can connect with the emotional makeup of their partner. They can intuitively understand their emotions, and similarly the moon person can express their emotional self, knowing that the sun person will take that on, will understand them. The identity of the sun person is almost like a mirror image for the moon person's emotions, so they naturally feel a open, expansive energy where they can be their true emotional self without fear. So that's a lovely harmonious aspect to have in a relationship. One of the most compatible and highly regarded. It's often seen in couples where their moon is in contact with the person's sun. So a trine, a conjunction, or a sextile is all going to be lovely. Another aspect that I wanted to talk about is also Sun-Venus. So if a person's Venus is the same as another person's sun sign, this will allow them both to feel enlightened, harmony. When a person's sun and Venus come into contact, the sun person feels warm and loving towards the Venus person, and the Venus person feels like the sun person embodies and looks like their love nature. It's a moment of recognition of I love and I grow in this way that the sun person is coming up in the world and showing their identity, how they show up in the world. It resonates deeply with the Venus person. They're like, this is my person. They look like what the Venus person would be. It would be their ideal person. So when the Venus person sees the sun person, like, oh wow, they are my ideal love match. That's what it looks like to the Venus person, because the sun shines so brightly and their identity is so tied into the Venus's love nature. This is a really nice aspect. Again, you want the conjunction. So if, for example, the sun person is a Taurus, the Venus is in Taurus as well, so their partner's Venus is in Taurus. A trine is the same element, so it could be the sun is in Virgo and the person's Venus is in Virgo. Wonderful connection. Another thing that I want to talk about would be Jupiter. Now, Jupiter expresses our ideals, our philosophies in life, how we expand, how we help people, how we grow. If someone's sun is conjunct another person's Jupiter, this is also very harmonious, and Venus. So if their Venus and Jupiter are conjunct, they're in the same sign, this is lovely, very romantic, very happy, optimistic, go lucky. They can future grow the way of being. For example, if a sun person is Pisces and a Jupiter person is Pisces, so a sun person has their sun in Pisces, they're born in March, and the partner's Jupiter is in Pisces, the way that the sun person's identity is in the world reflects the ideals of the Jupiter person. Very good for a long-term committed relationship. Similar, if Jupiter and Jupiter are the same, this is good because they expand and grow. And if you get older, the more your relationship evolves, the older you get, you want your ideals and your philosophies to be in line. Are you a humanitarian? Are you someone that actually goes after money more? Are you someone that wants to expand in education? These ideals together create a growth in a relationship. So any Jupiter aspects. Similarly, Venus, because it is a beneficial planet, and Jupiter having a contact, so a trine, a conjunction, or a sextile, this is really good for romance. Venus being the planet of love and harmony, when it touches another person's Jupiter, that is expanded. These are very romantic replacements. They'll have a lot of romantic evenings together. They'll plan romantic dates. They'll have a really romantic, smouldering, sexual, seductive relationship where they both like really romance each other. So Venus, for example, if a person's Venus is in Scorpio and their partner's Jupiter is in Scorpio, conjunction, wonderful match. What else did I want to talk about? I wanted to talk about Venus and Mars aspects. So Venus, obviously the feminine, Mars the masculine, coming together. Now, the conjunction is good, always going to be good. You've got the same sign in your Venus is in the same sign as your partner's Mars. This is always going to be good, and we want the trine as well, so you're in the same element. Water is water and water, but also sextile where maybe you've got a water Venus and then you've got an earth Mars is very good. But also a square is very good here, because if a person's Venus squares a person's Mars, this can cause friction, and some people love a good challenge. This person stimulates them to be better. This is a very good match for masculine and feminine energies, because the friction that is caused by a square can get them both very motivated. If there are other harmonious aspects, this can create a committed relationship. So this is something that can be really good. You do want the conjunction and the trines as preference. It makes it easier, it flows easier, but the squares can really get things up and going. Some people love a challenge. So if you've got your Venus and Mars in a square, this can really help spark a relationship off. It doesn't necessarily mean stability and commitment, but it's definitely going to be fiery, it's going to be challenging, and it's going to be growth orientated. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want me to have a look at your natal chart and a partner's natal chart, do send me a message. I'm happy to do that for you. There are so many things that I've learned over the years that have enabled me to share this wisdom. There is one last little tidbit that I'd like to give you, which is if any of your personal planets, which is your Sun, your Moon, and your Venus, and your Mercury, are going into your partner's 7th house, this could indicate a deep commitment. It means that you look at this person and they look at you as partnership. The 7th house is about partnerships and relationships of all kinds, love, business, family. So when your personal planets are coming into their 7th house, they naturally see you as someone that they could partner up with. This is a very good aspect and placement, because it enables you both to naturally let go of any boundaries that might stop a relationship forming. It pushes you into a partnership. So that's another one. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please remember, like and subscribe. Namaste.